you're like me, you grew up watching He-Man and even playing with He-Man. And then you kind of got a little older and you forgot all about He-Man until one day you walked into the store and what did you see? He-Man that you just didn't recognize. Let's talk about it. Kids in the 80s played with Masters Universe, but those kids of the early 90s, they played with He-Man. Sure, we played with He-Man also, that's what we called it anyway. It was He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Well, in 1988, the toy line was dead. A few years before that, the cartoon series was dead. And Mattel wasn't ready to give up. And they decided to just retool the whole thing and release a whole new line of action figures based on He-Man. Now I don't know about you, but it seemed like there was a big gap between when He-Man went away and these new figures came out. And I was kind of surprised it was 1989, just 1 year after they canceled the original line. I guess because around 85 I'd grown up, became an older teenager, and put my toys away. So I didn't really think of He-Man. And then in the early 90s when I started getting back into action figures as an adult collector, I would walk in and see these He-Man figures and be shocked that He-Man was back on the shelf. But these He-Man, they didn't look anything like the He-Man that I grew up on. No, these kids of the early 90s, they were playing with weird, strange He-Man toys. And you know what? There was no Man-at-Arms. There was no Mini-Face. There was no Tila. There was no Evil Lyn. And worst of all, there was no Orak. What about Battle Cat? You can forget about him also. This was a new He-Man. Said right there on the package, The New Adventures of He-Man. Master Universe title was dropped. But there was some familiar faces. He-Man. That's right, He-Man. And the other familiar face didn't have any skin on it. It was Skeletor. But even those were strange looking and not what we were used to. Look at this Skeletor here. And you thought he was scary looking in the 80s. This just looks wrong. And you're thinking, okay, Mattel brought these back in the early 90s, well, actually 1989 and into the 90s, and they flopped. They didn't do good. Mattel moved on. Actually, these did really well. Now, they didn't have a cultural impact like the original figures did, but they ran for a long time. And by a long time, I mean 1992. But that's 89, 90, 91, 92. That's 4 years. That's a long time for a toy line. Most toy lines come and go within a year. So this was a success. Again, was it a huge success as the original line? Did it have the cultural impact of the original line? No, not at all. But one thing it did have was some strange, weird figures. I know we had some strange ones growing up also. Ram Man, he gets a lot of hate, but I love Ram Man. And what about that guy you could put water in and squirt out his face? I used to put Coca-Cola in it and take it to school. The good old days. Now before we look at the figures, let me tell you there was a cartoon that these figures were based on. Yep, they went back to that track record they did in the 80s, having a new He-Man cartoon called The New Adventures of He-Man. How the marketing geniuses came up with that title, I don't know. That's what college is for.
My name is Adam of Grayskull. When good is threatened by the power of Eternia, I have the power!
Well, the cartoon starred, of course, He-Man. But now he's left his home planet and he's taken his adventure into space to help the planet Primus to fight against the evil mutants. But guess who's coming to help fight with those mutants? Skeletor. He-Man moved on from all his friends, left them there on the planet, and Skeletor followed. We watched in the 80s the two fight over the powers of Grayskull. And now, in the 90s, we had to watch them fight. I don't know what they were fighting for on this, to be honest with you. Maybe they were fighting for space or the planet. I'm not really sure. I never even watched this cartoon. I know, you came to this channel to learn more about that He-Man cartoon. Well, that's about all I know about it, so let's dig into these figures. And we're going to start with Series 1. Look at this guy, Flog with 2 G's. His mama didn't raise no 1G fool. Look at this. It looks like a hemorrhoid. Let's be honest. It looks like a hemorrhoid. I told you, these are strange looking figures. And then we have, of course, He-Man. And yeah, your He-Man came with a battle axe. Now you're married to one. But your He-Man came with a battle axe. And what did this one come with? A cassette tape. Cassette tape. Let's take a listen.
Breaker 19, this here's a rubber duck. You got a copy on me, Big Fan, come on. Yeah, 10-4, Big Ben, for sure. By golly, it's clean clear to Flagtown. Come on.
That's what I always wanted with me, my He-Man figures as a kid, a cassette tape. And you have another He-Man. They got carried away with He-Man. I'm going to warn you now. They released a lot of He-Man, but they didn't release any Prince Adam. Prince Adam was on the cartoon, but they didn't release any Prince Adam. Oh, they didn't have enough time. We only had 4 years, and we had to make 16 different He-Man figures. But here's one right here. And he comes with whatever that accessory is. And look at this guy. He's got kind of like a mask on or something. Now, these were broken into two, of course, the heroes and the good guys. And I'll be honest, I'm going to guess that this is a good guy. I know I should know, but I'm going to guess this guy's a good guy. It looks more like a generic reject figure that you would see at Revco than a He-Man figure. But here we go, another one. This line just looks cheap, but it's not cheap. It's made by Mattel, it looks good, but it does look like some kind of knockoff line you would see at some dollar store, doesn't it? And then we've got this guy here. Woo! Now that's got to be a mean mutant. That's got to be a mean mutant, because that's one bad motherfucker. And we got Skeletor. I don't know why this Skeletor is so strange looking to me. Is it just me? I just really hate, it's just so creepy looking. I can't imagine being a kid watching this He-Man cartoon and seeing that, or buying this figure. I know it's supposed to be scary and everything, but good Lord, does it have to be that dang scary? And we already looked at him. Let's move on to Series 2. And you got Earthquake. Look at this guy. I hope he shakes the ground every time he walks. This is a cool looking figure. There are some cool looking figures, but there's some really weird looking figures also. Here's another He-Man. Oh boy, we've got a lot of He-Man. And they all look about the same, don't they? And how about this guy? Looks like Mask. Remember that movie with Jim Carrey based on a comic book called Always Here But Never There? Check it out if you've never seen a great comic book series. But look, it's like a robot and a green head. And then you got this guy that's all green. He said, forget the green head, I'm going to be all green. And he's got a do-rag on his head. I bet when you clicked on this video, you didn't think you'll see an action figure for the new He-Man Adventures with a do-rag on his head. But you did. And you also get to see this. Lizard, is that how you say his name? Oh, he doesn't look good as that lizard I had. Oh, man, I thought about putting perfume in it one time. Well, excuse me. I thought about putting cologne in it one time. If I had a hot date with the girl Amy in my class, I could put some perfume in it. I never did. Never could get a date with her. And then we got this guy. Now, this is the most generic looking one you can get. It looks like a Sylvester Stallone reject. It does. If you told me this was used for some other body, I would have believed you. If you told me just like, this is the Rambo Land. This is a Rambo figure just repainted, I would have believed you. And then you got this guy with a big eyeball on his head. All it takes to defeat this guy, is some Vaseline. I like this. It's kind of cool looking. And you got Skeletor back again. And he's got his picture on his shirt. He's got a picture of his face on his shirt, and it's got some kind of dome helmet. It's kind of really strange looking, that's for sure. And then you got Visor. Look at this guy right here. Looks like he ought to be on a G.I. Joe card instead of a He-Man card. But no, he's not G.I. Joe. He's He-Man. And that's Series 2. So let's look at Series 3. Butthead. Can you believe? Butthead. And I think it's right at the time where Beavis and Butthead was out. Guess they're trying to capitalize on that, wasn't they? Can you believe they actually did a figure called Butthead? Come on, Mattel. You could come up with something better than that. It doesn't even look like a butt on his head. That's just crazy. And then you have this guy. Look, he's got like one eye open real big and everything. That is really, really strange looking figure right there. Really strange. And then you got this guy who you first thinking, oh God, they did another He-Man? No, that's not He-Man. Not very. It looks like a reject He-Man right here for sure. You know when He-Man showed up from his planet to this new planet and everybody was like, oh, we like He-Man. This guy got all jealous, I'm sure. And then we got Tornado. Now that's a cool name. Let's be honest. That's not a cool figure.
Gay!
Then we got this guy. I never liked these that was like one big hunk of plastic all over. That used to all bother me. Unless it was Ram Man. I like Ram Man. I don't know why he gets any. Why does Ram Man get so much hate? I love Ram Man. He used to knock down the door of my Castle Grayskull. And now we got this guy. I like this. This is kind of weird. He's got some gold on, like he's a rapper. I guess this is the rapper of the line. Maybe he's a gangster G. And this looks awesome. I like this one. It's kind of weird looking, I give you that, but I like it. That's Series 3. We're not done yet. We got Series 4. We got vehicles. We got role-playing toys. We got a lot more. And don't forget, if you want a poster like this cool one over here, movieposters.com. Movieposters.com. They got, trust me, this is a birthday cake with Star Wars Kenner figures on it. You want that. Trust me. Let's move on and look at Series 4. And here's this guy. He's looking up all the time. I don't want a figure that's always looking up. I'm like, what's up there? It would bother me. I was laying on my floor playing with my toys. I'd be like, what is up there? I wouldn't like that at all. And we've got this. That's right, another He-Man. This is a very bright He-Man. Thunder Punch. They stole that. What did they call it in the original line? Wasn't it a Thunder Punch one too? I kind of was out of He-Man by those, but I think that's the one. Was that the one you put caps in? And you got, of course, I thought it was a Skeletor. It's not. It's another green-faced dude. A lot of green-faced dudes. And this one is a green-faced dude with a helmet with horns on it. That's not badass. That's probably something better because it's not really all that badass. And we got this guy. This is a strange looking. Why does this line look so cheap? Why does it look so generic? It's like they want to do He-Man again, but they just didn't bring any soul and love into it like the original. Or maybe I just grew up in the 80s and I just missed my 80s stuff. And then you got this guy. Tell me this guy don't look like a reject. Let's move on. Look at this Skeletor. This Skeletor, well, he's going to a Guar concert. What a stupid looking Skeletor. And that rounds out Series 4. But, again, we're not done. They also released these figures in a 2-pack. Let's check out the 2-packs. And here they are. He-Man and Skeletor with that creepy Skeletor. That Skeletor creeps me out. And let's be honest, that He-Man just doesn't have that look. Just misses something. I hate his helmet. It looks like a bowling ball. Okay. And here he is again. This time he comes with an evil mutant. Well, he's a mutant. There's no such thing as a good mutant, is there? Do you have to put evil? I've never heard of a good mutant. Every mutant I ever heard of was bad. And then we got evil mutant. What's the difference between well, there's 2 of them. But that's a purple looking guy. He looks kind of cool. Got some big old eyes right there. Looks really cool. I would have called him bad mutant, being they already had an evil mutant in the other one. But that's just me. I know Mark the executive. And that was it. Not many multi 2-packs. Not many of them. But we do have vehicles. You got to give He-Man something to ride on while he's in space, right? Well, let's see what he had. He didn't have Battle Cat. He had this right here. It's just a generic looking ship. I ain't got nothing bad to say, nothing good to say about it. It's just a generic looking ship. But check this out. Here's He-Man. I think this will be flying around in space. Battle Bird? Battle Bird? I hope it's not in space because he doesn't have a helmet on. And then we've got this. Now he has a helmet on, but it doesn't cover up his mask, and he's above the planet. He-Man can't breathe. I know he's strong and everything, but come on. Yeah, this is badass. I ain't gonna lie to you. This one is badass. I wish this showed up in the cartoon in the old line. I like this one. I think this is bad. Got a big old skull. It's not Trapjaw cool. It's not Landshark cool, but it's cool. It's still the same. I like this one. And you got this is kind of like a little playset. I guess that's supposed to be an asteroid or maybe the planet. I'm not really sure. What do you expect me to do? To research this stuff? And we got a shuttle pod. Looks like something that ought to come from Star Trek. But there you go. Shuttle pod. And we got let me pull that down a little bit. You can't see it all. Sorry about that. Starship Eternia. That's pretty cool. Look at it. Put it on the desk and it stands up real tall. This right here is pretty neat. And you got this one right here. I don't know exactly what this thing's supposed to be, but it has legs. And to me, any ship with legs on it is a ship of mine. I like that. Let's see what else we got. I didn't realize they did so many vehicles. Here's another one for Skeletor. And look at that He-Man. That's not the He-Man figure. That only looked like the He-Man from the cartoon. What is that? They just totally made a whole new He-Man for this package. Makes no sense. But that's a look at the vehicles, but let's look at accessories. Yeah, there's only two of them. Don't worry, there's only two. And they're not really that good. So let's look at it. Here's some little discs for your Thunder Punch He-Man. On one of them, shoot some disc out in case you want to buy more discs. There's 3 of them for you. And you also had this right here, some little jetpack thing you hook on the back of Skeletor. I guess anybody you can want to hook it to. But that's the 2 accessories. And they also did role-playing toys. Now, growing up, I think they did do a He-Man role-playing sword and shield. I never saw it in the store. I would have loved to have the He-Man toy, role-playing plastic He-Man sword. That would have been awesome. But kids in the early 90s got one. Check this out. Nope. But kids in the 90s got one. Check this out. Here's the He-Man. I know you're going to have to kind of turn the screen to see it. Well, this is the Skeletor one, not the He-Man one. And I like this one. Reminds me of his staff in the movie. Maybe I'm just blanking. That's what I think it looks like. Maybe it don't. But it looks like it laughs and makes some sound. So that's pretty cool. I mean, how many skull staffs make sound besides this one? Not many. Not many. And you got this. Whoa, sorry about that. Let's move this over here. You got this right here. Some kind of little weapon you put on your arm and it shoots little things out. I had a Django one in the 2000s, but this is Thunder Punch. You can be Thunder Punch He-Man. Oh, you think I'm playing with Thunder Punch He-Man? I am Thunder Punch He-Man. And let's look at one more. And this is the Power Sword. It's not as cool looking, I don't think, as the... Nothing in this line is cool looking as the Eddies. Again, maybe I'm just biased. But there it is. And I remember this thing being on clearance all the time. But believe it or not, that's all of the He-Man stuff related to the New Adventures of He-Man by Mattel and the toy action figure side of things anyway. So let me know, did you watch this show? Were you into the New Adventures of He-Man? You're like, oh, that old He-Man from the 80s, that's my older brother's He-Man. I want to play with this stuff. I'm a 90s kid. Well, if you did, you missed out on some really fun. You missed out on Battle Cat, Orek, Tila, and that Thigh Gap. You missed out on Castle Grayskull, Snake Mountain. What about the arrival of Horax? Oh, God, you missed a lot. Sorry this was your He-Man. Sorry. Well, I want to thank you for watching. How much you like my content. And I'm going to go play with He-Man.
Hey, Junkman channel popping though.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.